Season 2 of Solo Leveling is officially here, and episode 1 gave us a lot to talk about, so sit back, relax, and let's get into it. The episode covers chapters 46 to 51 of the manhwa, and starts off shortly after Jinwoo's job change quest, and if you haven't seen it yet, check out my video where I do a full breakdown of his journey in season 1 to determine his rank at the end of the season. But basically, Jinwoo calls to remind him about the parent-teacher conference, and I'll do a side-by-side from the episode just showing the difference in his appearance from the weak little E rank we met in season 1 to the current Jinwoo. They also do a quick recap of his journey from season 1, reminding us of his reasons for being a hunter in the first place. It's easy to forget that not too long ago he was just a weak E rank hunter and would get hurt in every dungeon raid, all of which he had to do for the sake of his family. There's a scene from the manhwa of him going to the bank that I wish they would have also included. I'll pull up the manhwa panels for reference, but basically it shows that he's been able to save a lot of money from his many dungeon raids with Jinwoo, so much so that the teller assumes that he must be a high rank hunter to have accumulated so much wealth at his age, which leads to a very important point that I'll get deeper into later on, but Jinwoo isn't going to be able to play this E rank routine for much longer. Now, the teacher does have a hidden agenda for wanting to meet with Jinwoo, and she tries to gauge him by asking if he would allow Jinwoo to become a hunter if she should ever be awakened, to which he quickly replies no. The thing is, another student, Song-yi, who we've seen as part of Jinwoo's C-rank raid team, has decided that she doesn't want to continue with school, but instead wants to be a hunter full-time, and Jinwoo being an E-rank as well, should be able to talk some sense into her. They cut this scene from the anime, but in the manhwa, we see where in his meetup with Song-yi, he tells her that he's not here to convince her to quit, but instead is going to make her into an excellent hunter. Truthfully, what he wants to do is show her the dangers of being a hunter, and takes her to a C-rank dungeon raid to spectate the White Tiger Guild. This is set up by Mr. An, who desperately wants to recruit Jinwoo to the White Tigers after suspecting that he's had a reawakening, convinced that Jinwoo is far stronger than he's letting on. After entering the gate, the worst thing that could possibly happen, happens. It turns into a red gate, preventing them from being able to leave. The weird thing is, it didn't turn into a red gate until Jinwoo entered, so it's likely that something inside the gate sensed his presence and doesn't want him to leave. Let's talk about red gates for a bit since the anime didn't go too deep into them. A red gate is a special gate that only occurs in higher ranked dungeons such as B, A, and S ranked. Once inside, persons aren't able to enter or leave unless the boss is defeated or a dungeon break occurs. Specifically for this gate, Baek-Yun-ho, leader of the White Tiger Guild, suspects that it's at least a B-rank gate, which would be the best case scenario. Worst case is that it's an S-rank gate, but considering how rare those are, he quickly dismisses that thought. The troubling fact is if it's anything higher than a C-rank gate, based on the team assembled, they stand absolutely no chance of making it out alive. The team consists of 1 A rank, 5 B ranks, and 2 C ranks, along with Jinwoo and Song-yi, the 2 spectating E ranks. In the manhwa, it's actually 7 B ranks and 4 C ranks, but they decided to reduce the team size for some reason. They come under attack by a group of Ice Elves, and this is where I see a lot of persons saying that this proves Jinwoo is at least S rank, because he was able to see the ice arrows while Chul wasn't. The problem with that thought process is that Kim is a tank, so his strength and his defense are his strong points, not his perception or his speed. And although Jinwoo is technically a mage, he has an assassin's build, so he specializes in speed and perception. Kim makes the decision to split the team into 2 groups, only allowing B-rank hunters to join him, effectively sending the weaker hunters to their death. Which, to be honest, I thought he would just use the weaker hunters as meat shields, so he's actually a nicer guy than we give him credit for. One of the B-rank hunters, Heejin, decides to go with Jinwoo's team after realizing that he's the only one who saw the ice arrows coming and was able to protect Song-yi as a result. They head their separate ways, with Jinwoo deciding to head into the forest while Kim heads out to find the boss. Kim realizes in his frustration that even though there were many higher ranked hunters with Jinwoo's team, somehow he assumed Jinwoo was the leader, even with him having the lowest rank. Something to think about. While all of this is happening, S-rank hunter Hwang Dongsoo arrives in Korea to get revenge on Jinwoo and Jinho, who he suspects were the ones to kill his brother Dongsuk. You may remember him as the fool who tried to kill Jinwoo and ended up being killed along with his entire team. Luckily for Jinwoo, the Red Gate pretty much prevents a confrontation between them. If they were to fight at this point, I'd give the edge to Dongsoo. I think Jinwoo is still around mid-A rank before entering the dungeon, and with Igris, potentially could put up a fight, but I don't see him winning just yet. Back in the dungeon, we see that Kim is the only one from his group that can do anything against the Ice Bears, making him confident that splitting off from the weaker hunters was the best decision. While in Jinwoo's group, Heejin starts to question why they're going so deep into Ice Bear territory, but we forget that Jinwoo's IQ has always been his greatest strength. Even when he was an E rank, his ability to assess the situation has always been top tier. He figures that the Ice Bears must not have any predators since they have been able to claim this territory, so the only thing they'd have to worry about while being there are the Ice Bears themselves. Jinwoo also takes the time to complete his daily quests, because him being sent to the penalty zone would guarantee everyone else's death. He comes under attack by an entire group of Ice Bears, which gives us undoubtedly our WTF moment of the episode, as we finally get to see his shadow army in action. We see that one of the main strengths of his army is the ability to respawn if defeated, so long as Jinwoo has enough mana, which is also a downside as continuous respawning drains his mana rapidly. Igris manages to take down the leader of the Ice Bears like it was nothing, showing Jinwoo that if Igris actually tried to win their fight, he wouldn't have stood a chance. Even Jinwoo realizes that at this point, Igris may still be a little stronger than him. With that said, the episode ends with the members of Kim's team being wiped out by the Ice Elves, who now seem to be joined by their leader, leaving Kim no choice but to run away, as taking them on would be nothing short of suicide. And yes, it may make him a spineless coward, but he's an alive coward. So what can we expect going forward? Firstly, Jinwoo versus the Ice Elves. This one is clearly being set up for the next episode, and depending on how strong the leader is, we may even get a Jinwoo and Igris combo. Who knows, anything can happen. We may also see Jinwoo versus Dongsoo. It's definitely going to happen at some point, but the longer Jinwoo can avoid it, the better it will be for him. He's not far off from becoming an S rank, so maybe at level 60 or 70, he should be able to win a 1v1. Otherwise, his only chance of winning is if he and all his shadow soldiers attack together, which may still not be enough. We should also look out for Jinwoo's secret finally being revealed. More and more persons are starting to notice him, and yes, he was well known before as the weakest hunter of all mankind, but this time it's a little different. Mr. An ends up having to tell Yunho that he does suspect Jinwoo of having a reawakening, and I suppose Jinwoo being able to make it out of the Red Gate alive would only strengthen his theory. But as I said earlier, Jinwoo isn't going to be able to hide behind that E-rank title for much longer, as people are starting to instinctively realize that something about him is different. And now, he's gotten the interests of 2 S-rank hunters as well as Jin Chul and Mr. An. Lastly, we can expect to hear news about the 4th Jeju Island raid. The Jeju Island situation was mentioned briefly in the last season, and once again in this episode, as one of the ants from the island was found washed up on the coast of Japan. It apparently had mutated to form wings, showing that they are actively trying to escape the island, which means time is running out and a team needs to be formed as soon as possible to deal with the issue before they're able to actually make it on land alive. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more solo leveling videos.